subjects that we want to talk about today, not because we chose to talk about it, but because it has been provoking some doubt in Rima's mind. And that's how we kind of trigger each other's imagination, creativity, pushing the limits. So, Rima, you want to share that thought?
So we always say that the formula of TFAR, where our thoughts provokes feelings, and feelings provoke action, and action provokes response. So I was thinking about this, and since I was in a state of mind where a certain feeling provoked a thought, and then provoked another feeling, and then action, and then a response. So is it possible that sometimes we start with a feeling and then that feeling provokes a thought?
That's a question that requires quite a lot of digging because it's not a straightforward question and the answer is not obvious. Now, when we say a feeling, feeling is not an emotion. So, feeling is a sensation. It's how that thing makes us, whatever it is, makes us feel. But where does it come from? When we say a thought, thoughts can be conscious or subconscious. A feeling doesn't come from nowhere. We're connected. Our mind and our body is very intimately connected. You cannot separate them. There is no thought that comes from a vacuum, and there's no feeling that comes from a vacuum. They are totally entwined. So when we say a thought leads to a feeling, a sensation could lead to a feeling. So, for example, if you're cold and your temperature is much lower than normal, it can cause you to recall an experience from the past when you were feeling cold. Now,
Mm.
whatever associations you had with that, good or bad, can provoke a thought. But the thought and the feeling come together because it's a sensation, a coldness. Oh, yes, I felt cold like that when I was in such and such place. And so there is the thought. But then the feeling, that sensation becomes more of a conscious feeling. And the more conscious we are of what that feeling is, it then stimulates action. And that action leads to our results. So thoughts lead to feelings. Yes, there is a thought, there is a conscious action. But there is a difference between a sensation, which is a stimulus, such as feeling cold, feeling cramped, feeling in pain, and that resonates with something that happened in the past. That's what sympathetic resonance is. So it
Mm.
can trigger a mental response. That's a thought. And that thought can produce a feeling. And that feeling causes you to take an action, which is you make a decision. I'm going to get a jacket. So I feel warm. I had that feeling when I was sick and it wasn't good. I don't like being cold. So you take an action, and that action leads to a result. You put on a jacket, you feel warm, you feel secure again.
Mm.
So,
So
yes,
which means when I said that, so which means when I said that I had a feeling and that feeling provoked a thought, this means that I had the thought already. I had it repressed somewhere in my mind. So I got
yes,
the feeling first, and then I thought of that.
you have a sensation.
I had a
You
sensation.
see, sensation is a stimulus. You see, so let somebody pricks you with a pin, it's going to cause pain. But imagine if that pinprick didn't represent pain. It's a sensation, it's a stimulus. Supposing you at some point used pricking yourself with a pin to remind yourself to change a habit you didn't like, and
Mm.
that's what's associated with it. The pain was something that stimulated a change, a choice. That behavior that you were engaging in wasn't helping you. And now you use that to change that behavior to remind you that's something that you didn't want. Make sense? So
Does
the interpretation of what that sensation means and how it becomes a feeling can differ depending on the associations you have with the stimulus, with the sensation. When they say, pain happens, but suffering is a choice. Pain is a sensation, but suffering is a choice. In other words, you can choose to take that pain and victimize yourself and say how terrible it is and life is unfair to me. And you can decide to do nothing, give up. And you can say, no, I will absolutely not accept this condition. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do something about it because I do not like this feeling of pain. And I don't need to have it because I can do something about it.
which means
That's what
that
that's what
so which means the consequences of a certain feeling are also a choice. If pain is a feeling and suffering is a choice, suffering is a consequence of a pain. So the consequences of a certain feeling is our choice.
depending on what you associate with it. And that's why we say, your personality is a given, but your behavior is a choice. And that's what determines your results in life. You can have two very smart people, two very competent people. They're both informed, they're both intelligent, they're both educated. But the choices they make as to how they will behave will determine the results they get in life. And becoming aware of that and managing that process that takes place in your head, that's really important because that's where you have power over yourself, nowhere else.